Ladies and gentlemen, yes, I know I am releasing this video directly after the Apple Watch announcement, and I'm not sure why, it's just the way things worked out. Also, I'm kind of late to the party. I know there's been a billion reviews of the Moto 360, so I tried to make the first part of the video at least somewhat interesting. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If so, leave a like. So let's get to the review itself. So a little while back, before the Moto 360 was actually announced, Andorid Wear itself was announced, and this top secret smartwatch was demoed inside of the video, and no one really got a good glimpse of it, except one thing. The demos for Andorid Wear were all circular, and everyone was kind of confused. They're like, okay, there's the Samsung Galaxy, that's square, there's the LG G Watch, that's square, and there's even the Sony smartwatch, which is also square, so where did this round watch face come from? And people were questioning it, since recently Google and Motorola had partnered up for some secret project, and that project did end up being the Moto 360, and when it did come out, it really did live up to the hype when it comes to design. Functionality-wise, Andorid Wear wasn't perfect at first, but with Andorid Wear 5.0, once again, it just aces itself when it comes to usability. There are just a few flaws, and I'm going to mention those at the end of the video, so let's go a little bit more in depth into the build quality. To make this watch stand out from the competition, Motorola made it not only circular, but completely out of steel and glass. On the screen itself, we get ourselves Gorilla Glass, and a good thing too, since I found myself banging this all over the place. So far, I haven't had issues with scratches on the screen. On the back side of the watch, or the bottom, we also get glass, and this is where your heart rate monitor and a few other important sensors are that tells you your health information. Also, it just looks great. Finally, the frame itself is made completely out of steel. Unfortunately, this is where I ran into a few problems. The steel gets scratched pretty easily when you're simply using the screen and your nail simply brushes across the edges where the screen sort of meets the frame. That's where I saw most of the scratches happening. Other than that, this is pretty much scratch free. Now, Motorola offers this in two different types. There's actually different pricing for each type. So of course, the more expensive version is the one that comes with the metal wristband. The lesser expensive one obviously comes with the leather wristband. Both wristbands are waterproof and are about as premium as it gets, which leads me to my next point, comfortability. We've all had those watches with metal wristbands and even leather wristbands that you'll wear for a day, and afterwards you'll have these red marks all over your wrist, and it's pretty much terrible. It's uncomfortable, it bothers you the whole day. Sometimes you get used to it, especially if it's a Rolex. Other times it's simply a pain and you never end up wearing that watch again, or you end up searching out the wrist, something along those lines. But this watch, that wasn't the case. Although the watch is actually pretty big, especially on my wrist, I found it not being uncomfortable ever. The glass on the bottom really helps, and at the same time, the wristband itself is super comfortable. It hasn't left a single mark. I can wear it super tightly, I can wear it nice and loose. It's all up to whoever is wearing it. Now, I said that the watch bands are waterproof, but that's not all. The watch itself is actually IP67 water resistant, and this basically means that you can dunk it in a meter of water for a half an hour and it'll be fine. Now, I don't mean that you should take your watch and dunk it in water. 90% of you guys would never risk that, and I actually did it, and it is fine. However, this is really helpful for two things. Number one, sweat. A lot of people out there sweat quite a bit, and you don't want that messing up your watch or going into the sensors or anything along those lines, so in that case, waterproofing helps quite a bit. Number two, if you're washing your hands and you get the faucet accidentally on your watch, no need to freak out, it's going to be perfectly fine. Overall, the only issue I've had with build quality is probably occasional scratches here and there, but that seems to be the case with everything. If you want my suggestion, if you go on eBay, you can actually buy cases for a smartwatch. I know it's hilarious, but you can buy cases for a smartwatch, and you can buy screen protectors for it for both the bottom and the top. So if you're really protective of it, feel free to go online and purchase them whenever. Powering the Moto 360 is Andorid Wear 5.0. This allows you to check your notifications, you can download certain applications directly onto your phone, and you know what the best part is? The fact that all these applications are stored directly on your phone, and only a tiny little chunk of it is actually stored on the watch. So that way, even if your watch only has 4 GB of storage, which is what the Moto 360 currently has, then it's perfectly fine. I'm barely using up 0.5% of that 4 GB, since all of that is on my phone. Now, it actually doesn't take up a lot of space on your phone either, because most of these applications and watch faces are about 2 to 3 megabytes. I know, it's amazing. One downside to keeping Android Wear and your phone paired is Bluetooth. Bluetooth not only drains the battery on your watch, but it also drains the battery on my phone. In fact, it drained it by 50%. So if I would normally get 12 hours of usage, now I get 6 hours. So it's kind of like the investment. However, I have this application that turns on Bluetooth every hour and then turns it off after 5 minutes. It's a little application that I made myself. And basically, it syncs with my watch, sends all the notifications to my watch at the beginning of each hour, and then turns off Bluetooth on my phone. That way, I only end up having Bluetooth on for a total of about a half an hour to an hour a day. It's actually really convenient, and if you want to know how to get it or how to make it, feel free to leave a comment below, but that's for another time. Also, new vids are going to be popping up soon on the Moto 360's applications. There's a lot of cool applications I want to share with you guys, since although everyone won't agree that smartwatches are great, there's still plenty of people out there who purchased one recently, and I want to show you guys some cool applications. Speaking of apps, what are some awesome applications that you can get on the Moto 360? Well, first of all, there's games. You can get things like Flappy Bird, there's number games, there's mind meddling games. There's also other applications for fitness. This is a big one. In fact, I believe fitness has the most applications on the Moto 360. You can track your steps, you can track your calories, you can track everything. On the Moto 360, there's a default application known as Moto Health, and there's like Moto Steps or something along those lines, and these basically allow you to track your steps automatically. There's also Google Fit, a very good one, but people have reported that this drains battery on the smartwatch, so it's on you guys. Finally, there's the operating system itself. The UI is super simple. If you've ever used Google Now, take it, shove it into a tiny little circular screen, and combine it with your notification center, and you get yourself Android Wear 5.0. If you want to keep it that simple and only get notifications, you can, but others like me wish to make it a little bit more complicated, get a lot more applications, and they need a launcher. I'll be getting into that in a separate video as well. Overall, the UI, as I said, is very simple, and it's actually really fluent. If you swipe to the left, it swipes to the left. There's almost no lag unless you have like 130 applications on there, and even then, which I actually do, believe it or not, even then it's pretty fast, snappy product. Okay, so here's where Android Wear, or the Moto 360, lost a point. Interaction with your notifications. It sounds kind of complicated, but it's really simple. When I swipe to the right, I expect to be able to reply to messages on Kik, on Twitter, on Facebook, and I simply can't. The only option that I see is to open it on my phone, and that just means I have to bring out my phone. What I really want to do is to swipe left and say someone messages me on Facebook Messenger. I want to use my voice and go, "Oh, hey there, you're back," or "thank you," or something simple like that, even if it is just a list of short replies. This is mostly because a lot of applications simply don't support Android Wear yet, but I really want to see this happen, and I really want to see Google push for app developers to do this. The other point was lost due to hardware and not software. Number one, because of those simple scratches that easily got onto the watch, and number two, because of it not being completely circular. Motorola spent all that time telling us that, oh, this is a circular watch face and all that good stuff, but in the end, it really isn't completely circular, so that's something I'd like to see on the Moto 360 too, and according to my sources, it's going to happen. So that's the review of the Moto 360. If you enjoyed it, remember to leave a like. Also, if you want more information on my opinion on what's good and what's bad, go ahead and check out my 5 things that I hate about the Moto 360 and 5 things that I love about the Moto 360. They're separate videos. Feel free to check them out whenever you feel you should. Also, I'm going to have some cool Android Wear application reviews coming up shortly, so go ahead and click that giant red subscribe button, and that's about it. Thank you guys for watching. This is going to be me, locking off.
I know that it's a secret, and that I gotta keep it, but I want the lights on, yeah, I want the lights on.